a parliamentary committee,
Okay,
yes.
good.
And they are
Go
the
ahead.
ones who actually are going to be able to discuss with us some of the bills that we are trying to propose. What normally happens within the process is that at the end of the day, this particular proposal will be out there for the public and indeed the diaspora to be able to make comments, to be able to amend. So if there's any person out there wondering, how will I get hold of this particular bill, or how will the proposed bill rather, and how will I be able to put in my input, there will be an opportunity which will come where everything will be out there for public. So the public participation process will follow, where everyone will be able to put in their input and propose any amendments. We are aware that a number of other related areas are also being proposed. So for example, the diaspora requires a structure, if you may look so that we can say, should we call ourselves a county? And if so, how do we structure ourselves? And that is part of this particular momentum that we're trying to build.
This is a special segment. We have a quick diaspora voting update. For those of you who voted in the diaspora, especially out here in the US, you know the challenges that were experienced in the last election. That's in 2022. And there is an update that's happening to resolve some of the issues that people experienced while looking to vote. People could not register. There was a very small window for registration. There were very few spaces where you could register and come to vote. So it was a very expensive affair, and there was a lack of awareness until to date. There are people who don't know that people in the diaspora, especially out here in the US, that people actually voted. And on the show with me tonight is Dr. Martin Koyabe, an ICT consultant from London. He has a quick diaspora update to give us on what's happening. There's a group that's in Kenya currently, and something is being done. I know this is a bit far off. Elections is in 2027, but things are starting very early on. Dr. Martin Koyabe, karibu sana to the OneMicShow. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much, Ali, for having me on your show. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, this is a special segment, so it's not going to take very long. We just want to get people aware of what's happening. There is a number of diasporans who are out in Kenya currently, and there's a meeting that's going to be happening regarding diaspora voting. Please give us a brief of what's happening so that people out in the diaspora may know. Dr. Koyabe.
Thank you so much, Ali, for having me on your show. So first of all, let me thank many people who are behind this initiative. We are a team of Kenyans, roughly about more than actually 80, if I may say so, who have been working round the clock to make sure that we can look at the issue of voting in the diaspora. If you look at the statistics, roughly about 10,000 of us last voting election, or rather the election cycle, voted in the diaspora. Out of what we believe, we are just slightly, probably 4 million of us. So that number, if you even take adults on that number, which could make something like more than 2 million, it is very, very small. And therefore, it was important that we look at why do we have these numbers. The voter apathy is not that high in the diaspora. And where is it that we can adjust the law and the current constitution in order to be able to allow people to vote so that we can have what we call a political dividends. Now, the group that is in Kenya is actually what we call the Diaspora Technical Working Group. It's a voluntary group of individuals. I want to thank Mr. Mokile, Danson Mokile, who has been very passionate around this issue, and also with other colleagues who have been working around the clock to make sure that we can be able to get this group to formulate some of the proposals that we want to present. We are intending to meet the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. That is the first committee, which actually is very important. We want to meet them to be able to present the proposed bill. This bill defines a number of areas, roughly about 11 issues, which we want to present to the committee. Just to give you just a glimpse, Ali, because I know this is very a brief one, we are looking at issues such as the mandate of the IEBC, especially when it comes to what does the IEBC have to do in order to enable diasporians, you and I and others, to be able to vote and to be able to realize that potential. The second issue is we want to know the establishment. We're actually proposing areas such as establishment of an ad hoc committee within the diaspora to work with the IEBC and other entities to ensure that we have what we call civic education in the diaspora. We are looking at areas such as amending issues like registration. How do we make sure that registration is done in areas of the diaspora that do not have that particular facility? So, for example, we saw the last time in the US, for example, people were traveling from one corner of the country to the other just to go to Washington, D.C., or to go to any other polling stations, which were stationed probably in the West Coast, to vote. We see the same disenfranchisement in the Scandinavian countries, where people do not even have any place to vote other than maybe going to Stockholm. We've seen the same even in Africa, where people had to travel from Botswana and other locations to go to South Africa so that they could be able to vote. And this is something that we really want to address and say, if there's going to be mobile voting stations, could these mobile voting stations be placed where we have a density of Kenyans? And we should use also data to do that. And then we have areas like regulatory, making sure that regulation is proper, mandating IEBC to hire Kenyans, making sure that we can outline the application and correction of personal details when they are collected. And also just to highlight how do we identify ourselves when we go to the polling station. So this is among many, earlier, as I said, that we are trying to go and propose to JLAC to be able to see what is it that we can amend so that many of us can be able to vote.
Okay, thank you so much. And as you describe JLAC, because a lot of people who are listening do not know what JLAC is, as you describe it, I also want you to address diasporans because most people are not aware of this. And the question that comes up is, who are these people who are representing us? Where did they get these proposals? So where is the diaspora involvement in this? That's a very big question that usually comes in. On this meeting that's happening, is there a way in which people in the diaspora can participate? I know I'm compressing a lot of issues together because we have a very short time, but please go ahead and let us know. Dr. Koyabe.
Yeah, so first of all, JLAC, for those of you who might be wondering where is that acronym coming from, stands for the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. This committee has a chair, that is Honorable Murugara George Gitonga, who is actually the chair of this committee. It comprises of various...
so it's a parliamentary committee?
It's a parliamentary committee,
Okay,
yes.
good.
And they are the ones who actually are going to be able to discuss with us some of the bills that we are trying to propose. What normally happens within the process is that at the end of the day, this particular proposal will be out there for the public and indeed the diaspora to be able to make comments, to be able to amend. So if there's any person out there wondering, how will I get hold of this particular bill, or how will the proposed bill rather, and how will I be able to put in my input, there will be an opportunity which will come where everything will be out there for public. So the public participation process will follow, where everyone will be able to put in their input and propose any amendments. We are aware that a number of other related areas are also being proposed. So for example, the diaspora requires a structure, if you may look so that we can say, should we call ourselves a county? And if so, how do we structure ourselves? And that is part of this particular momentum that we're trying to build. The diaspora also requires to look at the labor laws, because some of us are disenfranchised. We can't go for specific positions in the country. Therefore, when you look at things like participating in the governance of the country, we are very much skewed, because some positions, you can't hold this position if you have dual citizenship. And we know that's an issue that is also there. Therefore, when you look at the totality of what we are trying to do, it's just the first step to make sure that we have a conversation that is transparent, that is also effective, but more importantly, very institutionalized within the institutions that are concerned, and also inclusive of all that appertains to this particular bill and who will be affected by this bill. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. So for diasporans who want to participate now as we come to wrap up, because they might be hearing this for the very first time. There's a meeting that's happening next week. For diasporans who want to participate, is there maybe somewhere or maybe a contact that you have that we can give them in a way in which, is there a possibility to participate in this meeting remotely or submit any requests they have towards diaspora voting? Is there any contact that you can give us that anyone who's listening right now can submit their propositions?
Yes, actually, we have been a very a forward-thinking plan. What we are going to do is, after this process is completed with the JLAC, the meeting with JLAC, because remember, every diasporan has a right to be able to meet any committee in Kenya. It takes quite a long process to, first of all, set up a meeting. It takes a long process to make sure that you can be able to have the right people in place, but even to get the date. So what we've done is, on behalf of many who are not necessarily here with me in this studio interview, we have actually organized in such a way that as soon as we finish the meeting, we'll make public the contact details that some of the diasporians who are out there could be able to start putting some query. And also, based on the process that JLAC will advise, we'll be able to make sure that the public participation is as inclusive as it can. So what I would like to say, Ali, is let the diaspora just be patient a little bit. We'll make sure that we put every detail out there for them to be able to participate and be able to engage as much as they can.
Okay, asante sana Daktari, and I want to promise the people who are tuned in that we will come back after this meeting for an extensive conversation. I know it's a bit early. 2027 is some 3 years away, but I think as the saying goes by Nairobi Wahenga, mapema ndio best. Asante sana, and we will come back with more details on diaspora voting 2027. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on this show. Thank you.
All right, take care.